Now, if I could just ask you all to mute your lines, just so that we don't have any background noise while we're going through the features. And we'll have questions after the general release features, and then if there's people who don't use the copyright CAL features, you could probably leave and I'll then demo the new copyright features. So welcome everybody. My name's Kath Fitzgerald, even though your screen says it's Jennifer Seidenworm. I'm just using her account, so I'm Kath. I'll apologise in advance. I've come down with a nasty head cold. So I do have my box of tissues and glass of water beside me. I'm hoping that I won't need them too much during our demo. And I'll just before I keep going, I just need to make sure that you can actually hear me. If someone could write in the chat window that you can hear me, that would be great, or unmute yourself and let me know.
Loud and clear, Kath, Andrew.
Thank you. Excellent. Great. I shall continue. Okay, so 6.3 is coming up very shortly, and we have a lot of features introduced in this release. Quite a few of them are UX features. We've tried to improve some of the UI and the user experience to make things easier. First of all, I'm just going to point out that we no longer have tasks and notifications on the left-hand navigation menu. We've moved them up to the top right-hand corner of the screen. So we now have an icon, a flag icon for tasks and a bell icon for notifications. And it will tell you how many tasks or notifications
coming out of through my headphones. I've tested them.
Okay, so we have a bit of background noise there. Could everybody make sure that they mute their microphones, please? Thank you. Okay, so when I'll just go to this notification and clear it. And you can see that when there are no notifications, and it's the same with tasks, it will be grayed out with a 0 beside it. We have a number of new features in the searching area of EQUELLA. So the first thing that you may notice is that the right-hand panel is no longer visible. So we've removed the right-hand panel that had the Add Search to Favorites button and the Sort and Filter features, and we've put them in different areas to make them easier to get to, and also to incorporate our gallery view function, which I'll get to shortly. So now we have our Add Search to Favorites at the top of the screen as a link, and we have our Sort, Filter and Share as tabs along the top of the search results box. So now if we click on these tabs, the functionality shows inline at the top of the search results. We have our sort, we have our filter, and if we set a filter, I'll just choose a random filter. Okay, and we close that. You can see very clearly that a filter is set by the fact that the tab is highlighted in orange or yellow, as well as our old message up the top there. So if I go out and come back in, and I've forgotten about the filter, it's not obvious that there's a filter set there. I can clear my filters from there. And yes, and the old share functionality is still here in line as well. You may also notice that we have a cloud search link up here in the bottom right of the search box. Now, 6.3 introduces the ability to search our OER repository simultaneously to searching your local repository. So if I type in a term, for example, and I've got my local results showing on the screen, and you can see that we also have 34 cloud results showing up here. So that has actually searched the OER for my science search string and results. So I can click on that link and it will show me the OER results. But there'll be more than that when 6.3 is released. We're just finalising the whole 6.3 and OER together. So if I want to go back to my local resources, I just click my local resources button. Now that feature can be switched off quite easily if you're not interested in showing that feature or you think it may confuse people. We have a setting in our searching area, searching and content indexing, which is disable cloud searching. So if we click that, it won't show that in your search box. We have a beautiful new feature in 6.3, which is our gallery view. So you can see at the top of the results box we have standard, and we now have a link to gallery view. So if I click on that, and actually, we get rid of that search button. So you can see we now have a gallery view. So what this actually does, it's basically one image per item represents an item in the gallery view. So if you can only have, it will only show in gallery view if you have an image as an attachment on your item. So, and if you have multiple images on your attachment, you can choose which one shows in the gallery view. And I'll show you how to do that in one moment. I'll just show you that when you mouse over or hover over any of these images, they show in a they show a preview up to 500 by 500 pixels, and they maintain their aspect ratio. The thumbnails themselves can be 135 by 135 pixels. So when we hover over any one of these, you can see the actual image is enlarged, and you can also see underneath that there's a small toolbar that gives you the same functionality as you get on your standard page for each result. So you can add to favorites with the star, you can add to hierarchy, which opens the modify hierarchy page, and also your comments. So when you hit the comments, it will take you to the resource summary page, and it will have zoomed in on the comments area of the resource summary page. Okay, so if we go into this one as an example, we'll go into the summary page. You can see that I have 3 JPEGs as attachments as well as a PDF in this page. If I go to edit this version, you can see that we now have a new select thumbnail function. If I click on that, it gives a list of the thumbnails for the attachments of this particular item. And you can see that it is currently selected for default thumbnail. So the default thumbnail will be the first image attachment that is in the attachment list. So, and that will what it will default to when you first upgrade to 6.3. There is a small process that you need to run which actually goes through and generates thumbnails for all your current images. And it will select your first image in each item as the gallery view thumbnail as a default. But in saying that, you can also choose no thumbnail, and that will mean that it will still display on the standard results page, but it won't be represented on the gallery view. If we choose select thumbnail, it will allow us to choose a different thumbnail as the one that shows on in the gallery view. Additionally, this one, for example, has 3 image attachments, and on the standard results page, we have what we call the rotating thumbnail, where it rotates through each image as the thumbnail. If you come in here and select a specific thumbnail, it will stop that rotating thumbnail from happening and use the selected thumbnail on the standard page as well as on the gallery view page. That. And save that. And if we go back to our gallery view, you'll see that it's now changed it to the image that I picked. So talking about thumbnails, if I go back into our resource summary page, you can see that we have a new link down underneath the attachments called Reorder Attachment. So this will allow users that have the edit item ACL granted to be able to reorder the order the attachments show in. So if I click on that, so this will not show if a user doesn't have the edit item ACL. So this opens up a reordering mode, and I can either click and drag these items, or I can use the arrows. That's simple, and then save. So one thing to note with that is we talked about the default thumbnail option. If you have the default thumbnail option set and you reorder your images, that whichever image gets put at the top of the list will then be the one that shows in the gallery view. Now, if I go and find an item, standard results. If I find an item where I have the thumbnail grid set in my summary page, when I go into Reorder Attachment, it's the same thing. You can click and drag your images, or you can use the arrows to reorder them, and then press save. We now have also introduced a new feature whereby specific attachments can be hidden from certain viewers of certain users. So we have two new ACLs. One is restrict attachments, and the other is view restricted attachments. So the user that I'm logged in at the moment does have the restrict attachments ACL granted. So if I go in and edit the version, and I go and edit one of my attachments, you can see I now have this restrict checkbox on the attachment. Pardon me. So if I select that checkbox for a number of attachments, and I've previously checked that checkbox for two of these attachments here, only the people who have the view restricted attachments ACL will be able to see them when they look at the search results page and the summary page. So if I just save that, because I also have the view restricted attachments ACL, I can see all of those attachments listed on the summary page here. And if I go back to the search results and use the drop-down arrow, I can see the four results there. I'm just going to quickly log out and log in as Joe Bloggs, who doesn't have the view restricted attachment. And when I go into search and look at the same item, you can see that I can only see 3 of the 4 attachments. And when I go into the summary page, the same thing. I can only see the 3 that haven't been marked as restricted. You might also notice that I don't have the Reorder Attachments link because this user doesn't have the Edit Item ACL. So that is going to be really useful for people out there for different reasons. One of the drivers of that particular feature was that someone really, like they had a lot of signed paper licenses that they wanted to store against their resources. but they didn't want the end users to be able to see those licenses. So they will be able to now restrict those attachments, and the end users won't have the view restricted attachments for that collection, and they won't be able to see those attachments. Another good example is when you may have like docx versions of documents and a PDF version, and you only want the end user to see the PDF version, and you only want the admin users to see the docx version. So you can restrict so that the end users can only see the PDF version. I'm sure there's lots of other ways that you could use that too. I'm just going to have a sip of my drink. Another one of our new features for 6.3 is embedded metadata extraction. So this allows for the inclusion of camera-supplied metadata and custom metadata with the import of an image. So most modern cameras include metadata about the photograph, for example, the time taken, locations, aperture, whether a flash was used, etc. And so what we're doing is in the background we have an EXIF tool which runs and pulls that into a text file, and you can use save scripts to pull that metadata into your collections if you want to. So we're pulling in IPTC, EXIF and XMP metadata. So if I'm just going to open up my admin console, and we've created a simple photography collection. I do apologise. The admin console does take a while to open, as you probably all know. Okay, so if I open my photography. Come on, you can do it. Oops, it's opened on my other screen. Okay, so what we have, actually for this one we've actually added some extra metadata just as an example to show photographer location.
See, this time on a Wednesday, it always...
Okay, Caitlin Duggan, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Okay, so we can see here that we have a save script that is actually pulling some of this EXIF and XMP and IPTC metadata out and putting it into our collection so that we can view this information. So we can add it to our display templates, like I just quickly showed you there. Now we can also add it to the drop-down metadata that shows beside an image. So if I just get out of that one and go back to our screen. So I've got an EXIF tool example in here. Just open it up. So you can see that it pulls out a whole heap of information from the photograph. And so we can use all of this to extract and import into our own metadata. I won't spend too much time on that, but I'm guessing that you get an idea. An example of this, we've got a photo in here. And you can see that we've actually set up our template to show the photographer, where it was taken, a title, caption, resolution, etc. And in that save script, we also saw that it would show the metadata in our drop-down. So you can see we have some extra information here. We've got the camera, city, state, country, GPS location, etc. Moving on. So in 6.3, we have tried to make things easier for those of you that do a lot of scripting. We've introduced scripting modules. I'm going to go into our user scripts area just show some examples here. So in our JavaScript, we now have this module name field, which will allow us to save code under a module name. I'll just read out what Aaron, our chief developer, has written about this. I'm not technical myself, so I won't pretend that I know exactly how this works, but script modules allow users writing scripts to import existing scripts into their own using import statements to avoid reinventing the wheel. So, so if we save this into item name, and I'll just get out of there and open my other very simple example, you can see that we use the require item to pull in item name, and the code in the module called item name will be reused. And there's more information on this, and it will be in the features guide, but there is a wiki, a CommonJS wiki that explains modules in more detail, and there are some good examples at the end there where they've saved module names, math, increment, and program, and in each one of those examples, they've actually required the one before. So it's in a sort of hierarchical calling certain sections of code. Additionally, for scripting, we've added some scripting shortcuts. So we can now, let's use this one as an example, we can now script in full screen mode. So pressing F11 will open up in full screen mode. I won't do that right now, but yes, so it will make it a lot easier than using the small spaces. We also have a shortcut which enables autocomplete. So if I just show you down here, if I do Ctrl space, it gives me all the Java items that may be used in this context. So these shortcuts are valid for the different scripting editors within EQUELLA. So we have our HTML editor and our CSS editors as well. So it would show relevant items for those types of editors. I'm just giving you an example in using the JavaScript editor. It also, if you start typing in something, it will show you, matches. That's autocomplete. We also have the auto close bracket. So every time you type in a bracket of any sort now, it will do an automatic close bracket for you. We also have Ctrl F to search. So if we do Ctrl F, it will allow us to search, and it will highlight the results. And Ctrl G will move through those results for you. We also have a search and replace option. So Ctrl Shift R will allow me to replace count with a number, for example, and that will go through and change every instance to the replace value. There's also another Ctrl Shift S, which is search and replace with confirmation. So if I put in replace number with count, it will ask me for a confirmation with each instance. So I'm hoping that that will make life easier for those people out there that do a lot of scripting. Okay, moving on to that one. Okay, so we have done quite a few changes with the integration screen with 6.3 for those of you that use it with Moodle, Blackboard, and now Canvas. So I'm just going to swap over to an example using Moodle, but keep in mind that if you use Blackboard, the changes are the same. It's just the LMS panel on the right-hand side that is slightly different. So if I go into one of my courses here, and add an activity or resource. Again, we've done quite a few UI changes with 6.3. Make the experience better for everybody. So first of all, I guess we can see that we no longer have the green select button on this page, and we have a blue plus button, well, a white plus button in a blue background, if we want to be technical. And what we've done is made it so that it expands on a mouse hover. So you can see that it closes again as soon as I move away. So this simplified if I go into my summary page. You can see there's lots of plus buttons, but as soon as you hover over them, it will expand them. Except for the actual attachment ones, there's nothing really to expand to for them. We've also simplified the Save panel so that the Save button is more prevalent and easier to see. Additionally, we've changed the little drop-down menu that was on the top right-hand corner and put links along the top, so it's much easier to see what's available and to navigate between the different options. So if we click on any of those links, I'll use Browse as an example. So if I browse down into something, and I go to page 6, for example, and I open something down here. So I can actually click my Browse button again to go back to exactly the page I was on when I opened that resource summary page. And then I can, the same with search, same with favorites. So wherever you are, if you click on the same link at the top again, it will take you back to the search page that you were on. We also see the welcome return of the My Resources link at the top. So we now have access from the integration screen that was missing from 6.1 and 6.2. We also have, if we go into our resource summary page, you can see that we now have two tabs. We have a summary tab and we have a details tab. So the summary page shows us the attachments and the comments, and the details tab gives us information or details about the item, and it gives us access to our actions again, which again was sorely missed in 6.1 and 6.2. So we now have the ability to access our actions. Additionally, on our search page, we now have in native EQUELLA the ability to turn off this select summary page. We had a lot of requests where people were getting mixed up and thinking they were adding the actual attachments by using this button rather than the actual summary page itself. So if I just flick back to our native EQUELLA and go into settings, under selection sessions, I open that up, you can see here we have disabled the select summary page button on the results page. So if I click that and save, and we go back, and I'll have to actually close this and go back in. Go back. You can see that it's no longer on the results page, so you can't select the summary page from here. When I go back into the resource summary page, you can see that it's still up here. There is an option on the Moodle configuration area for our integration for Moodle and Blackboard that you can restrict to just attachments. That if you had that selected, it wouldn't show in here either. Okay, we also have, going back to our search page, we also, if we go into Browse and go down into one of our hierarchies, images, we now can see again, the welcome return of the Browse breadcrumbs. So if you've got a lot of topics and subtopics within your hierarchy, you will now be able to use the links to go up or down a level, or up a level, And in addition, we also have the Add Search to Favorites at the bottom of the search box. That was also missing from 6.1 and 6.2. And one last thing to show you with the integration screen is this new button, which is Select All Attachments. So this one, when you select this one, it will actually add a single link for each attachment in the LMS. So if I click that, you can see that it's added four separate links. Whereas the Select package, if I just get a different course section there, the Select package adds one link, but it opens in the package viewer to show you all four attachments. So if I save that and we have a look in our Moodle system, okay, so you can see it's added 4 different links in here, and then in this one, it's added one single link. So each one of these will open each attachment separately. I'll just give you an example there. But this one opens in the package viewer. So that is the difference between those two buttons. Okay, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with Canvas and the Canvas integration, Canvas in Australia, but it's becoming a very popular LMS in the US and Europe. So 6.3 sees the integration of Canvas with our standard integration screen and EQUELLA. So just an example, this is just a demonstration site of Canvas, and I'm in a course in Canvas. So you can see here, I'm in Legal Ethics. So, and you can see here, Canvas uses the idea of modules. So we've got a couple of modules in here as examples. I'll just close that one up, there's a lot in it. So we've got a couple of different examples of modules there, which are similar to like course sections in Moodle and Blackboard. So we now have the ability to open the integration screen. So it's our standard integration screen that I've just been showing you. And you can see that the Canvas modules are appearing on the right-hand side there. So it works exactly the same as with Moodle or Blackboard. And additionally, like Moodle, you can also embed EQUELLA content using the HTML editors within Canvas. I'll just show you an example of that. So Canvas has an HTML editor and the ability to select EQUELLA content to put in here. So this will open up the EQUELLA selection session screen. I'll go in there. I could select an image. We'll only let you pick one thing at a time in here. And it will bring it back into the Canvas course. Okay, a couple of other things to note in 6.3. We now have a separate purge ACL. So in previous versions, the delete ACL was a delete and purge in one. So people who could delete could also purge. So there's now a delete item ACL and a purge item ACL. It is probably worth noting that when you do upgrade to 6.3, nobody in your institution will have the purge ACL granted, so you'll need to go in and decide who can purge and grant them that ACL. We also have a new function called Health Check. I've taken some screenshots of this on the notice. It's done from the administration server. So, I'll just use this. I'll just close that and open it. Page view. Okay, so you can see from the server administration screen, we have this health check option. And what this does, it gives us information about the services running on your EQUELLA system. And for those that have a clustered environment, it will give you information about each node within your cluster. So I'm just going to run through these screenshots to give you an idea. So this one, it's telling me that the services are all good and there's no problems. It's telling us that clustering is not enabled, so it's a non-clustered environment. Okay, so this is, again, a single node installation, and the information that we can see about our node is file store information, ImageMagick and Lucene index information. And after an upgrade, this is a clustered environment. You can see that the services stay waiting. That's why they're restarting afterwards. It doesn't take too long before you get, before it tells you whether they're good or not. So in this is a clustered environment with 2 nodes. So it's telling us that the services are healthy in both nodes. And if we expanded that view, we could see that each one of file store, ImageMagick and Lucene index for each cluster, we get the different information for each one. There's an example here with an error. So we can see that there is a problem with one of the nodes, and if we expand it out, it will give us information about what that error is. So you can see there it's telling us that there's a problem with the Lucene index. And just one more example here, where there's a problem with each cluster node, and it gives us information like the root directory does not exist, which sounds pretty serious, and the Lucene index. So that concludes the features that I want to show you for the general EQUELLA area. I have a set of the copyright features still to go through, but I know that not all of you use copyright and the copyright module. So we might just take a short break here to give you, anyone who wants to leave now, a chance to ask any questions about what they have seen. So you can either use the chat window, or you can take yourself off speaker and ask questions.
Hi Jennifer, it's Emily Bond here from Monash University. I just have a quick question in relation to when you said can disable the select whole item within the settings. If in previous versions of EQUELLA our users have made a link to that whole item in their Moodle unit, but then we subsequently select disable that they can choose the whole item, will their users still be able to see the whole item?
Yes, they will. It won't affect what's already been done. It'll just affect, it'll just stop people from adding those whole items in the future from the results page.
Okay, thank you very much.
Caitlin Duggan has asked a question in the chat window, which is, does the Canvas integration use the shared secret? No, it doesn't. It uses a pure LTI integration. I don't think I've got any further information on that. So it will match usernames or create a new EQUELLA user with a Canvas username. So it sends through the Canvas username with the LTI information. Okay, Megan. In the integration, is there a way to turn off the ability to select the summary page? No, there's not. It's a 6.3 feature, Megan. Although if you've got, is it with Moodle? If Moodle and Blackboard both have in 6.1, well, it's actually on the Moodle and Blackboard modules themselves rather than in the EQUELLA code. On the configuration page in EQUELLA, in Moodle and Blackboard, there is an option called restriction, and you can restrict to only attachments or only summary pages or both. Once that's all done, will they match? Yes, they will. Yes. Oh, okay. So, yeah, no, we don't actually have a certified integration with D2L, Megan. So, yeah, we don't. I don't know whether they have an option like that. It's not the integration's not controlled by us. So, yeah. Are there any other questions? I haven't missed any, have I? No. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is continue and show the copyright features for 6.3. If there's anyone here who doesn't use copyright, feel free to finish off. Otherwise, stick around and we'll go through the new features for copyright. So, I guess the first thing to show you is if we go into our admin console and open our books collection. And it's taking it again. Oh no, it's open on the other screen again. Okay, so we now have in our CAL licensing configuration page. I hope that you can actually see these pages. They're opening on my laptop and I'm dragging them across to this big screen. So we now have a Part 5B percentage, so it's configurable. It will default to 10%, but it will allow you to change it, and it will allow it'll allow 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, etc. We also have, just for a moment, so we also have a new ACL, which is copyright override. So people who are granted that ACL will be allowed to override the copyright warning at the time of activation. So we'll just go to our eReserve. Actually, we'll go to our books. And see what we have active in here. Okay, so if we go to activate another one, which would take us over our 10%, or whatever percentage you have set as your Part BB, 5B, can choose our course. Oh, actually, while I'm here, I can show you that we now have replaced the course selector, which was a horrible old drop-down, with an actual proper course selector. So you can put in any string or any part of your string of your course and search, and it will find a match that has that string in it. We had a lot of complaints about the oil drop-down prior to this. Okay, so if I pick a course and I say, let's do that to activate. So we can see we have this red message that says activating this portion may be a breach of copyright, and it tells us the percentage that it will take us to if we go ahead. And it will make you put in a mandatory message. and continue. So that will allow you to go ahead with that activation. We now have, if I go into that one that I just did, view the portion for that. Okay, so if I go into our activations link on the right-hand side, we get a list of activations for this particular portion, and you can see that we now have an edit button. So if I go in there, you can see that I can now edit the activate until date. So I can change that. Because it is an active portion, I can't change anything else. I can just change the activate until date. If I go back and find, I think the other one, see here. If I go into activations for this one, you can see that these are both active. Okay. If I had a pending one, it would allow me to change the course. It would also allow me to change the activate from and until. So for pending ones, it will let me change all of that information. Another new feature is that we now include activation details in the unified XML. I'll go back and open that portion. And we have the XML for this item. We can see down here that our activation information appears here. So it'll show the status, the UUID of the activation, also the UUID of the specific attachment, course name, course code, start date, end date, and citation. We have some new citation display options. So if I go back to my configuration page, okay, we have this new checkbox, which is use citation as the cal portion attachment display name. So if we just cancel out of that, I think, and that would have to be on the actual eReserve articles collection rather than the books itself. So if we, sorry, and change it. Go back. Okay, so if I search my eReserve articles, you can see that in the attachment area, the attachment link is now showing as a citation instead of the file name. That particular option, as well as showing it as a citation link in native EQUELLA, if I go back into Moodle as an example, you can see that it will show that particular resource as the citation link as well, not just the file name. We also have a new ACL, which is view linked portions. So you can see on this page at the moment, on each portion summary page, you have the links to other portions down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. We had user requests that this is actually controlled by an ACL, so that you can prevent people from seeing links to other portions for this particular book or journal. So if we go into Security Manager, portions. You can see that we have view linked portions. So if I actually invoke that one, save, and we refresh this page. You can see I no longer have the ability to see that section on the page. If I go back to my parent record, or holding record, you can also see that the link to view portion is gone as well. So it controls that link to the portion as well. Oops, sorry. Okay, and the other one that we've introduced is the view inactive portions. So, and you can see here that even though some of the portions are inactive, you can see that the attachment itself is showing as a link that can be opened. So previously, you couldn't actually open the content or the attachment of a portion unless the portion had been activated. So if it was pending and inactive, nobody could go in and actually look at the content itself. So there's a new ACL which could be granted to librarians or whoever needs to see that content, which allows them to go in and open those links, even though the portions aren't active. So they can view inactive and pending portions. So that one is called view inactive portions. You can also see that we have introduced a new statistic at the bottom of the parent record summary page, which is pages available for activation, down here in the bottom left. So that will show you how many pages you can actually activate before you've reached the percentage that you've set, which is generally 10%. We also have some rollover enhancements. So we had a lot of requests for simplifying rollovers at the end of the year. So if we go into Manage Activations, we select some activations, and we go into rollovers. Okay. So you can see that we have a new option here, as well as all your courses listed. We have a Use Activations Current Course. So that will allow you to reactivate or roll over your current activations to the same course. We also have this new checkbox, which is use dates 12 months from current start and end dates. So that will roll over all your activations to the same dates in the next calendar year. So if you tick that one, you can no longer choose these start and end dates. So you can also choose to use Activations Current Course and then select your own start and end dates. So this simplifies rollovers for many people. We also have in our filter area for Manage Activations the ability to filter by status. So you can look at all active, all pending, or all inactive. We also have, this is a bit of an ACL release really, we've got lots of new ACLs. We have a new ACL which is Auto Create Course. Now this came from a request from a number of people that when you're in the integration screen and you want to add something to a course from your LMS, currently it won't let you do it if there's no course code matching in EQUELLA to the course code that comes through from the LMS. So what we've done is create an ACL whereby if you're granted that ACL and that happens, so I'll come back in here and add the course that I know isn't in my current EQUELLA. I pick Photography 101. and add something. It will create a course automatically in EQUELLA using the course code from the LMS as the name and code. So it would be up to administrators at your institution to go back and put further information for that course in. So if I activate and add, so you can see that it has automatically created a course in EQUELLA called FOAT 101 as the name and the description. So it hasn't blocked me from adding this to my course at this point. The final thing I'd like to show you that's related to CAL is improvements to the Z39 search results. So if I go in and choose Private Australia, into law, for example. So you can see now that we have the edition, the ISBN, the publisher, and the publish date. There was a lot missing previous to this release, so it's much improved. It doesn't actually show you the edition if it's first edition. Otherwise, yeah, the ISBN, publisher, and publish date. Okay, so that sort of concludes what I have to show you for this demonstration. Does anyone have any questions regarding the copyright area of changes or any of the
Pardon me.
Oh, bless you. The other things that I've shown you earlier. So any questions you can send through the chat window, or you can take yourself off mute and ask. Is anyone still awake? No, I'm guessing perhaps there's no questions then. Okay, well, if you have no questions or comments, we always welcome comments about our new releases too, so please feel free to add some comments into the chat window as well. We might conclude this demo. So thank you everybody for attending, and I hope that what you've seen today is or all the new features that you've seen today are things that you'll use at your institutions and find useful. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kat.